This morning is Thursday morning. I'm out here getting ready to do the feeding and checking my springers, and we had a little black and white lineback calf born. This one, the marking on it would be called a Gloucester. It's more of a Gloucester lineback. I don't know where they got that name at, but yeah, it has more of a solid colored face and a white line down the back, and then it's got garters like at the top of each leg. So yeah, we give calves 3 different things when they're born. Well, I say give them. We do 3 different things. The first one is we dip their navel with iodine. That helps dry them up and ward off any infection. And then there's 2 different pastes that we give them that are vaccines against scours. Helps build up their immunity. So there's the other side. It's one leg, front leg there, don't have a full garter on it, but that's okay. It's out of a really nice black and white Holstein heifer. So I'm doing the feeding here this morning. I'll try to do a little bit of the Harvestore unloader. There's a lid right here that I've showed you before. There's a handle on both sides. One here, and then one over here. And that opens the door up. And then, yeah, up here on the side, there's 3 buttons. Well, there's 4. There's a reset button there in the middle, that red. Then at the bottom's a stop button. At the top is a forward and reverse button. We usually start it in reverse a little bit and run it. And once it runs a wee little bit, we'll stop it and go into forward. There's a low and a high gear on this thing. We usually start it out in low. Back in here's a handle. You switch it around. It goes, there's a low and a neutral and a high. I was saying in that last video, whenever we were putting a new chain on it, we were having a lot of trouble with it. And we very rarely have trouble with the unloader. The trouble we were having was the arm wasn't advancing. And here's what I wanted to show you. This whole ratchet system, it has a spring tensioner on it here. You can see it giving a little bit. You look right there. Well, now my hand's in the road. You look right here where my thumb's pointing at. You can see it giving a little bit there. And when it has too much tension on it, it just pushes the spring, compresses the spring. And then here's the ratchet system itself. It's went the whole way around once since we had put the new chain on, and it's definitely going a lot better now. And yeah, when it's running right, it very rarely ever ratchets every time unless you're really loose in there. About every 2 to 3 times. You can see it's kind of pushing it forward. Well, there it clicked twice in a row. Yeah, it's been running really good. The first round that we went around after we had put the new chain on, yeah, it was maybe pulling a little harder because I think we were pretty sure there was some stuff caked to the floor that wasn't getting cleaned off because the hooks were getting worn really bad. But since it's around the whole way, yeah, it's working a lot better. There's kind of what ear leech looks like. I probably showed that before, but I don't very often feed in the afternoon, so I'm trying to show you everything Well, now I'm under a light here in the feed room, but over there by the unloader, I was trying to hold a flashlight up so you could see a little better. Yeah, I'm running the corn silage in. Right here's our control panels for all of our silos and conveyors. It gets a little dusty back here because of all the dust, but yeah. Might say a little bit more about the Harvestore there. Another reason we were having more trouble with it, I think, is because if you don't have the top sealed up right, or if something isn't sealed up right up at the top, it'll let a little air in and it causes it to sweat on the walls inside when it's colder out. And yeah, that moisture then will run down along the wall and make the feed wetter on the bottom. We started having a little trouble this fall with it being really wet, and even sometimes you'd open the door and a little bit of juice would come out. I knew we put our ear leach in a little wetter this year than we did most years, not on purpose. The ear was about ready, but the stalk was still really green, and that's kind of where it picked up the extra moisture, but I was sure it wasn't that wet, so we had the Harvestore repair guys come out first and check it. Here, the one bag, there's two breather bags up the top. One of them had a hole in it, so they repaired that or took care of that problem, and they said it would take about a month till that quit. And yeah, it's pretty much back to about normal now. That's been about 5 weeks ago now, probably. When I say back to about normal, as far as the moisture of the feeds coming out of the bottom, it's definitely still a little wetter than we put in most years. And it's not all that wet. It's just the first, let me see, the first day we filled, it was a little wetter than what we like. It's probably about what we have for half the year. The rest of it that we put in was about like we like it. So we probably will be through that by March, April, May at the latest. But yeah, then going back to the others there, yeah, we started having a lot more trouble with the arm not advancing it after we had that fixed, but it was kind of, the moisture was getting a little drier, but yet it was still kind of more cakey. And yeah, it didn't all come out wet like that. It would just be the first little bit. Like when you first opened the door and started it, you get a little juice out. It'd be really wet, and then it would start coming out okay. So it wasn't like all of the feed was really, really wet. Just what came out at first. But yeah, now we replaced the chain and got everything else working like it should, and it's advancing and coming out really, really good. So hopefully it'll work out okay. Feeding time again. It's not real cold out this morning, but it's like a damp cold. Yeah, it's about 23 or 4 degrees and the air is like really raw, so making everything steam. I've talked before about how some of the stalls get soiled a little bit or get a little bit of manure in it, and here you can see a good example. We have all of our cows in one group, so we don't have our heifers separated at all. Yeah, there goes some walking past me. Ideally, if you see these two right here, they're laying that their rumps are right sticking out over the back of the stall. So if they do anything while they're laying in the stall, it'll fall out into the alley. But there you got one that's a little bit smaller. She's a first calf heifer, and she's laying up in the stall. Well, yeah, she's laying up in the stall, so if she does anything, it'll kind of fall right there on the back of the stall. But yeah, even this one right beside her that's positioned back right, if you look in there, she's not even anywhere near up against the brisket board. But then this one here, she's pretty much right up against that pipe that we use for a brisket board. The way to position your cows into the stall has to do with the neck rail. That's that pipe that runs horizontally right on top of the Freestalls. The distance you set that from the back of the curb, as well as that brisket board. So it's those two things that kind of position a cow in a stall. And we almost never have any trouble with them laying in the stall backwards. Some guys have more trouble with that. I'm not gonna say never, but I mean almost never. Yeah, it's very, very unusual to find a cow in here laying backwards. It's Thursday afternoon here, just here in my calf barn taking care of a couple things, and just thought I would video a little bit. Calves are all doing well. Here's a group. They're about 7 weeks old. We just started weaning them, or they're actually about weaned. They're going to be ready to move out here in the next couple of days. Over here's the younger calves, and yeah, they're all doing well too. Still got their calf coats on them. Yeah, they all seem to be doing good. I'm not sure if I ever said anything about this, but we have a tube ventilating fan that comes in through here the whole length of our calf barn. It's probably a little bigger than it needs to be, but it is nice in the summer. We have holes at like 4 and 5 and 7 and 8 on a clock, and the fan on it is a variable speed fan that it's set by a thermostat. It can kick on and off, and once it gets down to close to 0, which we don't have that kind of cold very often, but if it gets down close to 0, we'll just shut it off. But anything above that, we can regulate the speed of it. But once it gets above like 45 degrees, I think it kicks on and runs full blast. And then we do have fans over here along the curtain. The curtain's set up automatically too to open and close depending on the temperature. And once we, and then in the summer, these fans kick on. There again, we can adjust them. I think we have them kick on when it's maybe 65 or so. There's 4 of them over here along this wall. So yeah, it keeps the ventilation, keeps clean air in here, and with this tube ventilating fan, it just keeps some fresh air pumping in here. The air never gets stale and stagnant. We can adjust it too, that it'll not only variable speed, but it can run like on a 10-minute cycle. It could be off, and we do that sometimes too when it gets bitter cold. We'll set it back that it'll only run a minute or 2 out of every 10 minutes just to keep a little fresh air pumped in here. But yeah, right now it's like 40 couple degrees in here, so it's just slowly pumping a little fresh air in here and keeping things nice. We have a curtain door at the end. We keep it open at the bottom unless it gets really, really cold or windy. And the same with the garage door here at the other end. That keeps a little extra fresh air pumped in here without putting a draft on the calves. Yeah, it's really getting cold here this weekend. We got everything closed up here pretty good. There you can hear the one calf bawling. Yeah, I don't know if there you can see it. It's a little red. Its mother's a Jersey cross, half Jersey, so it would be a 1/4 Jersey, but that's a little bull calf. The other one's right over here. Well, that's the mom. It just walked around behind its mom. There it is. That's a little heifer calf. So I say a little heifer calf. A nice sized heifer calf. See, both seem to be doing well. Hopefully we won't have any born here when it's really, really cold. We don't have too many real close right now. I mean, there's 2 or 3 in here that could have probably any time. And it's not like we have a whole slug of them that are really close. But when you have a whole bunch, or when you have calves born when it's really, really cold, unless the mom gets them licked off and you get them warmed up pretty quick, yeah, it can be pretty hard on them. So hopefully we'll be lucky enough to not have any when it's real cold, and that would be nice. If you hear Mr. Pappy over here bawling, we have one of our lineback bulls penned up. They're coming next week to collect semen on him. You have to keep him penned away from the cows for several days to do that. And yeah, they had collected some before we bought him. I got him from a guy out of Wisconsin. They collected some off of him before we got him, and he was wondering if they could collect some more. So he's polled, and his dam got some really high records, and he's a really good bull. So anyway, they're coming to collect some semen off of him, but he hasn't been really mean towards anybody, but he sure lets his whereabouts be known and lets you know that he's a bull. But we soon do need to get rid of him. He's a good bit bigger than what he looks here. The way I'm standing here on the video, he's probably close 1,600 pounds or better, maybe even a little bigger than that. So yeah, when they start acting like that, it's about time to move them on. I often say you never know what you're going to get into in a day's time, and it's Sunday afternoon here, and we had a cow fresh today, and she has milk fever. So yeah, I'm giving her an IV. I usually give it to him in the blood vein underneath her belly, which is kind of commonly known as their milk veins, or it's the blood veins that go back to their udder. Yeah, I'm just about done here. She had a nice heifer calf, and yeah, I'm not sure why. Just every now and then we have one that gets milk fever. It's probably been a couple months since we had one, but yeah, here we are. So actually, when my wife and I were away for our anniversary trip back around the beginning of November, maybe, I think they had one while I was gone that my one son treated. But so yeah, don't happen very often, but every now and then it does. So yeah, anyway, we're just about done. Yeah, there's a tube. It's kind of got a vent, a tube that you connect to this bottle. It's kind of got a vent on, an air vent, and you see the bubbles in there bubbling up. And yeah, and it goes down into their milk vein, or their blood vein. She wasn't real bad off, so I don't know if she'll get up here or not. She couldn't get up, but she was trying. I did give her a tube of cow gel and some other boluses, pills that to help with stuff too. But yeah, I'll maybe try it. Usually I'll let them lay 15 minutes, a half an hour, and usually you come back and they're pretty much up on their own. But being it's Sunday evening here and I want to go in, I might try her and see if she'll get up. Not quite yet. She'll need just a little bit more time. Yeah, sometimes it takes a little bit till that all takes effect and works. It's called 23% calcium. It's everybody calls it sugar water, but it's it's basically calcium. Their calcium can get pulled down whenever they have the calf. And she had a little heifer calf, kind of a dark chocolate colored calf. Yeah, well, not quite black, but it certainly ain't red and white. This morning is Monday morning, and it is really cold out this morning. Right now it's around 3 degrees Fahrenheit, and you know it's cold when the cows are getting ice on their hair below their chin. Not all of them have it, but yeah, there's quite a few of them do. Yeah, we're just about done milking here, and so far we haven't had any trouble with anything, so hopefully it stays that way. It's supposed to warm up to about 30 today and not be near as cold the next couple days, so yeah, I'm glad it's not going to stay this cold for very long. We have a calf being born here this morning, and it's like frigid cold out, so yeah, we'll get her to get it licked off a little bit and get it warmed up here. Yeah, I think everything's okay. She just looked like she was kind of fretting around, wasn't laying down and having it, so we decided to go ahead and pull it here before I left the barn and head in for breakfast. Looks like it's a little smaller calf, but we'll see. Yeah, it's alive. It's a little heifer calf. Yeah, I'm gonna try to make sure the thing's breathing here. If they're born like this and they're maybe not starting to breathe, you just take a little piece of straw and tickle their nose a little bit and makes them jump and start like, yeah, they start sucking in air. And you don't really poke their nose, just tickle it a little bit right there at the end of their nose, and 90% of the time that'll work pretty good. Yeah, there it's taking off and starting to breathe. And the mom's turning around and says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna like you." Yeah, she's a lineback, black and white lineback. She had a red and white Holstein, so yeah, she must have been bred to Holstein bull. Yeah, if it's cold like this and they don't get up and get them licked off, you better get something to dry them off good and get them in where it's warm. If they get them licked off pretty quick, yeah, they're usually okay. Yeah, I said about it being cold out here this morning. It's still really cold. The sun's out and it's looking like it's going to be a really nice day. But we're going to try to clean our Springer pen out today. It's supposed to be the last cold day for a while, so we want to do it while the ground's froze good and hard and solid. So yeah, we'll try to get some video of that. I think Lois is planning to try to get some drone video of it as well. We might even, if we have time, go up and clean up some manure up in the barnyard up at the heifer barn up at Willie's, my son Willie's place. Yeah, I said about cleaning out the bedded pack here in our Springer pen. Yeah, we bed this Springer pen probably 3 times a week on average, every 2 to 3 days, depending on the weather and depending how many's in here. And being it's cold out here where we cleaned it up, it's all warm down underneath, or the bedding's all warm, and yeah, it's really steaming. But yeah, it won't take long to get another pack started again. We try to clean this out. It varies, but 2 to 3 months. In the wintertime, you kind of got to go according to when you have the weather. And yeah, it's getting deep enough. There's a couple gates here we close. It's not catching bad yet, but if it gets much deeper, it will. And it's supposed to be a lot warmer here the next couple weeks. We want to get it cleaned out. And plus, if you let it get too deep, it's probably about, I don't know, 12 to 15, probably close to 15 inches thick right now. If you let it get too much thicker than that, it gets so hard to scoop it up, or a lot harder to scoop it up. So try to keep it cleaned out. Don't take as long to scoop it out, and don't take as long to haul it. And yeah, here's our first load loaded, ready to go. when there's ice froze up on top of the watering trough inside the barn. I mean, the water itself is thawed out and okay down inside, but there's ice all over the top of it. But yeah, we got part of the Springer pen cleaned out. This one side here, I think we haul on the 5th load now, and that was the shorter side. Our Springer pen's kind of in an L shape. The one side here is probably, I don't know, 80, 90 feet long, and the other side's about 40, 45 maybe. So yeah, but the shorter side's cleaned out. Now we started on the longer side. Probably have 20 feet of it cleaned out here. So another 2-3 hours at tops, we should be about done. And we want to try to clean up some manure up at the other farm if it don't start thawing out, or if we have enough time and nothing else happens. Yeah, well, this morning is Tuesday morning. Yesterday I didn't get a chance to do a lot more video there later in the day. We were cleaning the Springer pen out, and yeah, we got it all done, got it all bedded up, and we cleaned up a couple loads out of our dry cow barnyard, and also a couple loads up there at the other farm where we keep our breeding age heifers. Yeah, we ended up having a really busy day, but we got everything done, thankfully. They're talking about some showers this morning, then it's supposed to get up to 40 today, and tomorrow's Christmas, and we have some other stuff happening later in the week. So glad we got it all done. We do need to clean out the one end up there at that heifer barn, but it's not real pressing, so hopefully we'll get a chance to do it here in the next 2 weeks sometime. Calf, here's her first feeding. Drinking out of a bottle, and my goodness, I was in the pen feeding it. It was about going bonkers for its milk, and I came out of the pen and it came flying out of the pen right behind me, and it thinks it didn't get enough. So yeah, they usually don't act quite this rambunctious the first feeding, or friendly towards you, I should say. These are the two calves that were born. The one was born about 2-3 weeks early. It was really small. And the other one was born about a couple days later out of a heifer. It was full term, but it was a little small too. So we put them in here and raised them separately in a separate pen together. And they're in the middle of being weaned right now. They're maybe a little tad on the smaller side than most weaned calves, than most of our weaned calves would be, but yeah, they are doing very well and have grown very well, and that we fed them actually a week or so longer, so they're probably getting close 9 weeks old.
We had a really pretty calf born. It's a gray and white one. Anyways, he's a bull. We're gonna keep him.
We came to a Christmas light show here at a farm about 20 miles away from us, and yeah, they have a huge display here. The one place here that has the saying, "Thank a farmer," and then over here they have lights set up like a tractor and planting corn, and then the corn standing, and then a combine behind it. And then this is kind of neat too. They have all the animals, 2 of each kind, and then they have the display of Noah's Ark. So that's really neat. There's the farmer outstanding in his field. Chicken got loose in the cornfield too. There's the cow.